Let's go.
Diabetes.
Don't be rude.
Douche.
Brian.
Douche.
Brian.
Douche.
Doing well, thanks, Terminator. Order in the court, all rise. It is time.
It is about that time, Creed. Hopefully everybody's excited for another day of court as we all ride on the Brian Express.
Yes.
So
perfect.
This case is we typically see, people come in with no attorneys or one person come in with an attorney. Today's one of the days we have two attorneys. Each person has brought their own backup. So by the way, we've seen Angel up there, the attorney with her eyebrows. We've seen her before, right?
Yeah, she looks pretty familiar.
But yeah, we're gonna find out who said they were gonna burn the house down. Creed, somebody made that accusation here.
Oh, wow, all right, arson. That's always fun. By the way, you mentioned rain. It's actually raining here, and 72 degrees outside. Haven't felt that in a while.
It was nice and cool, not cool, but cooler this morning, which was awesome walking outside.
Heck yeah.
Sun's out now, though.
Nice change of pace. Our golfer Lisa, not a vampire, dog squad mom
with the backyard critter cam.
Long name.
I enjoy watching the backyard critter cam. Iowa Golfer has her own channel where you can watch critters doing critter things. It's adorable. It's adorable. You need to check it out.
Every once in a while, we'll put the bird feeder on. In our one cat specifically, Shorty goes crazy trying to get up to the TV because she thinks that's where the birds are.
And I have to thank Kay. Kay was for the win today. She sent me over this one after I had recorded it yesterday, but I had the volume down because we were in the middle of doing our thing. And it somehow another channel case had started on another tab, and when it did, there was audio, so both case audios were playing at the same time and ruined the last 2 minutes of this case.
Oh Jesus,
the most important. So yeah, we got young Judge Foxworth here ready to do it.
I call him Dick Fox, but you guys call him whatever. Let's
I don't want to know what the C stands for.
It ends with a K.
It says petitioner states respondent made a threat to her on October 31st of 2022 and stated, if you don't give me what I'm asking for, I'll burn down the house.
Look at this face.
That could be an act of domestic violence. My client will completely deny that, and we refute that. But it's also not indicative of something that would place a reasonable person in imminent fear of bodily harm, because you're talking about 8 months ago. So we believe that the petition fails on its face, and that it's somewhat obvious that this is all in response to my client filing a complaint for divorce, which is what these people need to do. And they need to stay away from each other, but there will be no evidence that my client has committed any act of domestic violence against Ms. Patterson or against the children, or that he should somehow be restrained from having access to the children. In the meantime, Ms. Patterson has, he's not been allowed to see or speak to his children, and she has enrolled them in another school.
Damn.
And doing everything she can to get an advantage in the divorce case. This is a civil matter. This is not what TPOs are designed to do. Anybody can go out and swear a TPO, but you have to show that you are in reasonable fear of imminent bodily harm, and that there's, a likelihood of domestic violence. We believe the evidence will show that there is no likelihood that my client would commit any acts of domestic violence, that he is law-abiding, has never had any kind of problems with the law, has never been convicted of any crimes. and has a great relationship with his children, and that this has all been fabricated, and somehow Miss Patterson has decided, when she found out that he filed for a divorce, she decided that she's in feud. We think that's all the evidence will show.
Mario member for 2 months. Love that these.
Shoot. Mario sent me an awesome picture of a tattoo he did of a killer clown from outer space. Gary, how are you? The respondent really taking it on the chin when he heard about the house burning thing.
Where are you?
He really did not take that well.
His reaction was like,
Oh, no.
that was really funny. By the way, got the Kyle Busch chin going. Those of you who follow NASCAR know exactly what I'm talking about. He's got the whole Kyle Busch look to it.
The attorney looks great.
Carol, that's a good spot to stop. Carol, thank you. $1 hair. I appreciate
Carol,
you. Good to see you.
Solid, Carol.
Kay just paid over $400 to vet. Oh God.
Oh my God. Is that bad for him? I give my dog pizza crust all the time. Is that a no too?
Oh, the pizza crust. Wonder Twin, double D's. Thank you. And hello and welcome. Coda, I swear to God, she just knows when it's pizza time. And
my dog too. He's like, just waiting, like, come on, throw the crust.
All about it. Absolutely love it. And Shelly, is this your birthday?
Shelly?
Do I gotta dust off the old birthday thing? I haven't seen Raph in a while, so we haven't used it.
Dust that bad boy off.
Shelly, happy birthday, and thank you for following the rules, the leeching rules, as we call them around here. You send us money when it's your birthday.
And in case you're not in on the joke, you missed a very interesting time yesterday. Go back and watch it.
Yes.
It is a live chase in San Francisco, but baby, it's something completely different.
Are you okay, Brad? This is way too much nice stuff to be saying about these two leeching morons here, you know.
Wow. Thank you.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. It's nice to hear some nice things once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Not too much, though. Then start getting a big head. You know what I mean?
Want to get an ego.
All right, Mr. Odula, you may swear in your client and proceed.
All right. Ms. Patterson,
sir, please keep your video on so
Where
we
is
know
he?
you're here.
Oh, sorry, first time in court.
I mean, I've come to recognize your voice, but we don't appear to have
right.
left the courtroom. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
We're in court now, even though everybody's sitting elsewhere.
Ms. Patterson, would you please, I think you're on mute. Would you please unmute your? Okay, maybe she's having this. Maybe the host has to let her unmute.
That was some awkward silence there in the courtroom.
Let me send her a request.
I don't know, but she looks mad already.
I think she's unmuted now. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I get you.
Under penalties of perjury.
I do.
That's good news.
Okay.
Mario.
Please identify yourself for the record.
Marietta Patterson?
Okay, and you're married to Mr. Patterson, right?
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Okay. Let's go straight to the point. Have you, as Mr. Patterson, engaged in any acts of violence in the past with respect to you or the children?
Yes.
Okay. When did it start?
So this started 2009.
Okay, here we go.
But,
hold on, ma'am. Hold on, ma'am. Hold it.
Uh-oh. Hold it.
2009. Simon John.
We don't go back that far, Simon LeBon John.
Going back to 2009. A great start.
It was the war of 1812, Your Honor.
Welcome.
Glad you're here.
Not used to this this love around here, you know. 2009. God,
everybody just shut their eyes for this one.
Charles. Hold on, there's one.
Oh, judge is about to lay into her and say, I only want to hear about recent acts of family violence. Recent acts of family violence.
Very quick before we get back to that. T, why are you so damn angry today over on Facebook? Angry facing it.
Okay.
talking.
The petition. That's all that the respondent is on notice has been alleged against him. We're not, if it's not in the petition, we're not talking about it today.
Okay.
So please be specific in your questions, Mr. Oduluwu,
Yes, Your Honor.
so that she is directed to what she's alleged in her petition.
Great name.
Y'all can
Okay.
deal with all that other in the divorce.
Okay. What specific act of violence occurred on or around July 3rd?
So July 3rd, a letter came in the mail that my husband filed for divorce. I didn't know he did. So I opened it up. Of course, I saw that it was a file for divorce. It said he filed, and it was an ad from some lawyer company. I turned to him and I said, oh, I didn't know you did that. And he said, it probably is an ad. I said, okay. I continued to pour my tea. And I called the children over. I said to the children, Dad filed for divorce. I'm not quite sure what is going to happen.
Does that count as a humble brag by any chance? Because I mean, it's a little more uppity when you're sitting around pouring your tea.
I'm pouring tea, delicious tea. Really weird that he filed for divorce and he was still living with her.
Yeah, that's
Like, dude, oh,
that's not a good timeline, Beverly. It's not the way it works.
it's not good. It's not gonna work.
Yeah, and why do you keep saying an ad for divorce? I don't understand that part either. But you know, I'm not a tea drinker, so what the hell do I know?
Good to see a kitchen court. It's chats now. Sorry.
Chats,
Jesus.
get the that last C. I'm just glad that you're referring to her as that, not by her given name, and it screws me up because I don't know who the hell you're talking about.
He started recording and I said, okay, never mind, guys, go back to what you were doing. They went back to their designated area that they were in, and I went to my job. I called my job, told them I have a family emergency. My job said, okay. I started unpacking the things that I had in my office. I put them in the hallway. I got them at the doorway, and he told Joseph, put your shoes on. He went upstairs, knocked the door, told Leah to put her things on, and went to the room and got his gun, came back out of the room. And I was at the bottom of the stairs, and he said, I said, where are you taking the kids? He said, I'm taking them to a movie. I was like, you're not taking the kids out of the house. He's like, I'm taking them out of this toxic environment. I was like, you're not taking the kids. I'm calling the police. I dialed the phone. I called the police came. When they finally came to the door, I opened the door. They said, we're here on your husband's behalf. I said, but I called too. They said, well, we're here on your husband's behalf. He had already, before he did that, he was actually in the family room screaming that I'm trying to put him out of the house. He then got in the car, got up the street, stopped the police officers, told them I don't know what. They came to the door. I let them in. I showed them the letter that I was showing, that it was an ad, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen. They were like,
an ad? Why we keep saying it's an
I don't
it's an
understand that
ad.
part. Does anybody else? Can you understand where she's coming from? Roger Ramjet with some knowledge dropping it on us. That's interesting. In some states, if you move out and then filed for divorce, you lose the right to live there. That's
okay.
I think that's a stupid law, though, because if you're filing for divorce and you're living together, I mean, come on. But I get it.
She said the thing comes in the mail. She
Right.
looks at it. She says it has an ad for a law firm on it. She asks him, hey, I didn't know you filed for divorce. And he says, I don't know what that is. It looks like an ad.
Okay.
So then she gets on the phone and calls her work and says, hey, I got a family emergency. Tells the kids, look, Pops is filed for divorce. We're getting out of here. We're done with this. It's over. And he says, come on, kids, put on your shoes. I got my pew-pew. We're heading to the movies.
I said that is exactly.
She calls the law, and the law shows up and says, hey, I'm here for your husband's behalf. Nothing she has said has made any sense yet.
Listen, I know movie theaters are getting bad. You gotta grab your,
It's a rough part of Georgia.
By the way, look at him up here. He's
checking out that attorney, Angel.
But What is Latif doing down there? Is he doing a little quaffing? I think he's
really
turtle heads
staring
now.
hard.
Okay, let us talk to the children. They went out, the children went out to the doorway, they talked to the children, and the children came back in. They were like, okay, it's a civil matter.
I'm going to
There's nothing we
object to
can
any
do.
hearsay.
Hold on.
Sure.
When you hear the word object, everybody stop talking. Let the lawyers argue.
I'm going to object to any hearsay.
Okay, Mr. Odulu.
Yes, my understanding was,
Mario.
well, try to avoid, we have no objection to the objection, so that's fine. Yeah.
The objection is sustained. Please do not tell what someone else told you, including the children. You've got a 16-year-old that was old enough.
Oh,
to
the children came back
You
in.
can't,
Okay,
ma'am,
the children came.
you cannot tell me what they said when they came.
They didn't
back
say
in.
anything. They just came back inside after the
Okay,
police
you
officer.
tell what you saw. That's about it.
Right. So they let them back inside. They were inside now, and the police officer left. They said it was a civil matter. That's what the police said. It was a civil matter, and they got in their car and they was getting ready to leave. They turned back around, came back, and knocked on the door and ring the doorbell, and was saying, "Okay,
I'm going
something
to
don't seem
object to
right."
any.
Okay, well, hold on.
I'm going to object to any hearsay by the police.
Well, unless the police says something to her directly, she can testify to that.
What?
No?
Yeah.
What's the exception under the evidence?
When the judge laughs at you, it's not a good
I mean, it's a
start.
conversation that she was witness to,
Good
right?
point.
Now, if
Well, that
I
would
think
be the same of all hearsay. Okay, is there a police report? Or
yeah, but
is
it's
a
not-
police officer subpoenaed to testify?
no, we don't have the officer to
Okay,
here to
then we can't
testify.
talk about what the officer said. We can
Okay.
talk about what happened, but not
Right.
what anyone said.
So the officer came back into the doorway, said to me,
I'm going to object.
No,
"Okay,
Oh boy. Hello, Rob.
Did they do something besides talk, or did they?
okay." So she came back in. She stand at the doorway. She said, she asked me a question.
There it goes again. She said,
So
Ma'am,
I can't say what she said.
No.
Okay. So she stand at the doorway. I got my things and I had to leave the premises. So I left.
okay.
okay. Let me redirect you because when you had called the police, was that a point where was your intention initially to leave the home?
No.
No. Okay. And the police came in and it went with them. And then it came back. Okay. So what was it that triggered to you the need to leave the home without referencing anything that anybody else said to you? What
His
was the
behavior.
development that caused you to leave the home?
His behavior with the gun, because it was just myself and the children in the home.
You're gonna have to be specific. How exactly
So-
did he behave?
he was
It was
twirling it.
myself and the children in the home. He was stating that he was feeling threatened because he was saying that, oh, you know, I must have people coming with guns. He was just acting irrational. He was in the back screaming that I'm putting him out of the home. So I'm not quite sure what was going on that side of the home. I was in the front of the home at the doorway where the police officers were standing.
And do you have any idea why he pulled out his gun in the first instance?
Yeah, he's
I
going to
do
prove it.
not know why he went upstairs to get his gun.
Okay, he
There was
got his
nothing happening.
gun.
There was no argument. There was nothing happening. So I do not know why he went to get his gun. Normally when he go get the gun, there was something happening in the home. There was nothing happening in the home.
Okay, so let's be
So
specific. After he's got his
scared. I
gun,
was scared because the paper came and said he filed. There was nothing happened. There was an argument. I wasn't arguing with him about anything. There was nothing to talk about. It was already filed. There was nothing I can do about it. So I went to my job. I told him I had an emergency because I realized the situation. I felt scared. I felt some type of way because I didn't understand why he didn't say he filed, but I guess he didn't owe me anything to tell me that he filed. Finding out that way was kind of emotional for me. So I couldn't stay on the phones taking my calls that day.
all right, Ms. Patterson, I need you to be specific. From the moment he's got his gun, what did you see? What did you observe? How did you react?
I observed him as he got his gun coming the hallway with the gun, coming down the stairs saying, there is, what he said, he's taking the children out of a toxic environment.
Okay.
When there was
First of all,
nothing
stop there
toxic
for a
happening.
minute. Let's stop there for a minute.
He said, "I'm the
Okay.
rootinest,
How was his
tootinest
gun? Was it
cowboy this side
open?
of
Was
the
in his hand? Was it
Mason
He
holstered?
had it on
This
a
face.
holster on his person. It
Okay.
was on like a I don't know what you call that, but he had it on him, his person. And so
Okay.
that's how he had it coming down the stairs, saying that, you know, he's trying to get the kids out of a toxic environment. And so that's
Okay,
how he
then
came down
what
the
did he
stairs.
do after he came down? Other than what he said, what did he
Grabbed the pew pew and they went and saw Barbie.
do?
Oh,
Did you go
He
from
came
room
down
to
the
room?
stairs. He walked up.
Obviously, that's what they were doing, right? Too short, Tiff. Yeah, the train. Thank you, Tiff.
down
Too
to the
short.
family room, went over to the family area and was saying, you're trying to put me out of my house. You're trying to put me out of my house. And I was like, I don't understand why he was saying that over there. There was nothing happening for him to
Okay.
say that I'm putting him out of the house, because I wasn't even engaging with him. There was no engagement. When he come down the stairs and he was trying to take the children with him, there was no engagement.
Okay.
As
And
far
what
as
was
to say, okay, you know, there's something happening. There was an argument. There was something to get him riled up. There was nothing happening for him to take the gun and come outside and come down the stairs in that manner. Like there was something about to happen and he's trying to protect himself from me or the children, because there was nobody else at the house.
what was the reason why you felt the need to call 911?
Because he was trying to take the children out of the home, and there was nothing for him, no reason for us to be taken out of the home, for them to be taken out of the home. I felt scared. I felt fear of him because he had the gun. There was no reason
Okay.
for the gun. There was no reason for him to get the gun because there was nothing happening in the home.
Okay.
You know, if there was an argument or something happening, I would have understand why he probably felt like he needed to secure himself, but there was nothing happening.
Okay.
And I felt just fear because I know I can't mention anything else, but I felt fear in the home after the situation. And I don't know, October, that took place in October.
what?
I didn't
Yeah,
feel
let's
safe.
not talk about that unless it's in the petition.
It is in the petition.
That's in the petition, as I recall.
Okay.
It is in the
Oh.
petition because I filed it October 31st, 2022. He mentioned when we were having a conversation about my daughter, it was between him and I, how he was treating her. And I said to him, if you feel like you can talk to her, better if you talk to her than yell at her. He was treating her really badly the entire day.
Yeah, listen, I understand if you're walking around waving a pew pew around. That can
Or you're making
absolutely-
some sort of threats
Sure.
towards you about it. But the
But-
only thing she said he did was get the pew pew, and then said that he was leaving
and it was
and
holstered.
taking the children out of a toxic environment.
And it was holstered.
Yeah. Again, he didn't have it out.
I see that as a much. I don't see that as a threat at all, right? When it's sitting in a
I
holster
don't-
like that.
Not typically.
I think it's a big
unless the only thing I could think the judge would be like, well, that's an intimidation type deal, you know.
I mean, yeah, I could see that a little bit, but I don't think that enough to really make it a really big deal.
Really,
Sorry,
jeez, tarnation.
I misclick sometimes.
After we got back to the house, we're sitting down and we're trying to have a conversation about it. It turned into an intimacy conversation when we got over to the sofa. And the intimacy conversation turned into him getting upset and
Intimacy.
not getting his, I guess, the way he wanted me to state what he wanted me to state. He said to me, if you don't give me what I want, which was intimacy, if I don't give him what I want, he's going to burn the house down. And I said, well, if you're going to burn the house down, let me take the kids and you can do whatever you want with your house.
Oh,
He said, well, you won't know when
Wow.
I'm going to do it. And that's from that day until now. That is why I felt the way I felt come July 3rd. That's it.
All right.
I
When
felt
he
fear,
wanted
and
the
it's fear
kids,
stemming from then. I filed my report because it was fear stemming from then until now. The erotic behavior, the irrational way of behaving in the home. I've had enough.
yeah, Laura, Lola, we're not 100% sure on that yet. I don't think.
Well, I mean, again, how did she expect him to file for divorce? Tell her, hey man, just let you know I'm going to file for divorce. I'm going to burn this house down if you don't give me the sex.
So,
Um,
the sex is important, apparently, to the point that he's going to burn the house down.
Oh.
Bite-sized Cobra feds. Great. To
what
see
is
you.
going on? I love the Cove vids. I mean, if you haven't checked it out, you got to check it out. It's amazing.
Please do.
More cooking.
He just
Please.
wanted the sex.
He said, ain't no, so what you're saying is I just want sex. If she's withholding intimacy, maybe we should find out about that. Maybe that's something that had something to do with him filing for a divorce.
That might be before he commits adultery, as they call it, I believe.
He's a good man, I guess.
And when he wanted to take the children out, were the children willing to go with him?
No,
Okay, be specific. What happened?
I don't know if that would be hearsay when the police officer took them out of the home. So,
All right, go ahead and testify. It says yes, the council will object.
okay,
But-
so the police officer, when they came in the door, took them outside the door, outside, and asked them questions. They came back in. They specifically asked them the question when they got to the doorway, do you want to
Don't
go?
object to any
And they
hearsay.
said no. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So it
Good
turned out
try.
they didn't go with him.
Objection sustained.
Okay.
Here.
So but the bottom line is the kids did not go with him.
No.
Okay. So at what point? So at what point then? Because he was going to leave the house. At what point did you decide to live with the kids instead of staying in the home?
When the police officers came back the second time.
And then what caused you, other than what they say, what caused you to make that decision that you needed to be out of the home?
His erratic behavior. He did not come back in the home.
Thank you.
When he went out with the gun. He was between the garage and the den area. The police came back in the door. They said something to me and told me to get a few things, and I got what I need. With the kids get their stuff, and I got my stuff, and we ran out the door. You
And
know,
were the
Ran
kids
out the door.
reluctant to follow you at that point in time?
no, they were not.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, since then, has he had any occasion to contact you or the kids?
Erotic behavior, yes.
So he did contact the kids. He used the cell phone. He talked to them on the phone.
Yes, give or take a few, but 24 months of member. Look at that. OG members is 22.
That's right, baby.
That works. Thank you, Loud. I owe
You're
you
the
a fine breakfast at the Cracker Barrel.
Oh.
Kieran, thank you.
And have you had any objection to that?
No, I do
Okay.
not.
All right. And so, based on your experience with him, are you asking the court to, what kind of protection are you asking the court to impose now so that that will alleviate your fear and that will maintain your safety and that of the children?
So I would like it to stay the way it is. Just the difference is just the visitation. And I know that's what we're working on, the visitation. And the children just need not to feel the way they're feeling right now. They're with me. They're fine for the most part. I need them to, my husband, to get some kind of evaluation before the children can be okay being around him at this point. It would be nice for him to get, whether it's mental evaluation, anger management, for not exploding so easily and leaving from one point to the next in like 200 miles an hour of being angry. Just the anger, I can't deal with it anymore. I just really need him to get some evaluation. The children need to feel okay being around him, and that's my only thing. I just want the children to be okay. So if he can get some evaluation, some therapy, some evaluation, it would actually help. My children need to feel like they're okay around him at all times. Not that I have to be a buffer in the middle at all the time, from the time till now. Every time I feel like I have to be in the middle of the arguments so that he can calm down enough for the children to be okay.
Okay. And have you
I need to be okay as well. I don't want to have any communications.
okay?
calm down.
So other than, have you enrolled the kids in the new school?
I have.
And is it because part of the order gave you?
I'm going to object to any leading.
Yeah, just
Okay.
try not to lead your witness there, sir.
Okay.
Part
Yeah.
of the part of the order did say that I don't have to tell them where they are. I don't have to give any of that information. They are in
Okay.
a new school, and I don't want to divulge that information at this point for their
Okay.
safety and for mine.
And of course, in terms of the school starts when?
School starts today.
Okay.
Oh
And
no.
is it your intention that they will start school today?
It is.
Okay. And you live in Stockbridge, right?
I do.
Okay. And it's
He
not
knows.
practical or feasible for them to go back to school in Lithuania, is it?
No.
If
And
they're
he
staying
knows
with you.
where he
Okay.
knows where I am. Yes.
And he knows where you are, right?
He does know. where
Is
I
he
am.
an IT guy?
He is an IT person, so
Nice.
he can
Okay.
get access to anything at any time.
What are the implications of that in terms of your basis for feeling that you're endangered?
That he can look at all my information at any time. He can access anything. Most of everything that I have, he is on everything that I have, whether it's my phone, which I don't use anymore.
I think that in this case, as far as where she's living now, I guess it's okay not to answer, right? When you're in a, I think.
Well, I would say so. I mean, she's moved the kids out of the school district to somewhere else, which is
Yeah.
kind of upsetting to the children. Just about the kids being mentally challenged after this. Having to move them to another school is a huge thing on kids. Bullying is bad, real bad.
It is. What we've heard so far is that he explodes quickly.
Yes, and that may have something to do with the lack of intimacy.
It might, or it's his anger. Either way, we really haven't heard a whole lot of violence coming from him, other than he went up and grabbed his pew-pew, put it in a holster, and took the kids to the movies and said what he said. That was it, right? Or did I miss it?
Again, that is what has been alleged.
Yeah.
But she said at the same time, he didn't say anything except for, "Hey, I need the sex. I'm gonna burn this house down."
That's the gist of this entire thing so far. Seattle Jen, thank you. Brian, leeching off our subs again and don't have a job.
Again, we have not heard really too much. The guys in the trucks, they sent over a photo, but I'm gonna have to vet it before it comes over.
Oh yeah, you gotta be
Yeah,
careful.
give me a few minutes and we'll see if I can show it.
All right.
My laptop, my desktop, so he can access it at any time.
Okay.
I can't stop him. He can get into any of it. No matter.
And just to, as I wrap it up, it's my understanding that he has turned over his gun to law enforcement. Does that in any way alleviate your concern?
Not really.
Why is that?
Like you can get a gun at any time, any other time. Not
Okay.
really.
Well, that's anybody.
Let's be
It's
specific
not
about
so
your.
much the gun per se, but the person that's holding the gun. The guns don't hurt people.
Okay.
It's the persons that the persons that are using the gun, right? Their
Uh,
mental status. So
With specific
All right.
respect to the children, all right, what, if anything, informs, and I want you to articulate that the best way you can, your concern about them visiting with him in person, at least in the immediate future?
So in the immediate future, I'm hoping they will have a perfect relationship. I don't want to get in the middle of him and his children relationship. The only thing I'm asking for is that he get evaluated, and if they do the evaluation, that it's certified that he's okay to be alone with my children,
She said,
and that they're okay with being alone with him.
That's
at
her
this point.
children, not his.
It was suggested earlier that you were doing this because you want to get some kind of advantage in the divorce. Is that correct?
No, I don't.
Okay. Is there even a reason in why you're doing this?
Just for my children's safety and for my safety. I don't want, there's nothing I'm trying to get over on in the divorce.
Carol says instead of medication or paying bills, forced to pay these guys on the YouTubes.
Look,
Thank you, Carol.
I'm going to go on the record before I bring this up. This was sent over to us by her attorney just now. I guess he's watching and said that the judge wouldn't allow it yesterday during court, but he wants us to go ahead and enter it into evidence today.
Oh, okay. All right. We can do that.
So he said this is a real 100% photo he took from this lady, and well, they wouldn't allow it, but we are. Oh, well, that changes everything. I mean, yeah.
That's what happens, ladies, when you don't give up the sex.
You get a visit from this guy. Well, I
Other
see.
way around. He wants it.
What's up, Furburger?
Your Honor, we'll close it at this point. Well, not close it, but reserve the right to redirect based on our cross-examination.
Okay. All right. Ms. Cordell, any cross-examination?
Before I cross, I would just move to dismiss because I don't think that there has been sufficient evidence of an active family.
I kind of agree with Miss Angel there.
It does kind of come across that she's grasping at straws because he's filed for divorce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As a matter of fact, just like
she had been blindsided by this. Like she had no idea it was coming.
I don't think she did. I mean, it just kind of feels that way to me.
I thought so.
Mr. Odula.
Your Honor, we object to the motion. We believe that there's been not only acts of family violence, there's threat of family violence, and that the behavior with the gun has really terrorized the family to the point where she felt the need to leave the home, even though she had the option to stay in the home and have him put out. But she felt the need to leave the home immediately. So that, in addition with the prior conversation about burning down the home, at least to the extent that we stick into the petition, we believe that justifies. And at the very least, in an ex parte hearing, she also testified to a judge. We felt it in her wisdom to put the ex parte order in place. So we believe that there's no basis for dismissal of the motion at this point in time.
I appreciate what the ex parte judges do, but that's why we have a 12-month hearing, is to hear both sides. That judge only heard one side. Ms. Cordell, at this moment, your motion's denied. I will certainly, you can rebring it as the hearing progresses. We'll see.
Thank you, Honor.
Right. Bit premature.
Ms. Patterson, you said that there was no argument or no fight on that day. So you were confused as to why Mr. Patterson would be removing the gun from the home.
He wasn't removing the gun from the home. He had his gun on his person.
Okay.
He was stating that I'm trying to put him out of the home.
Okay.
So there was no.
Was that because you were on the phone with 911 saying that you felt threatened?
No, that wasn't because of that.
Were you on the phone with 911?
I was on the phone with 911. I wasn't stating I was being threatened. I was telling them that he's taking the children out of the home, and the behavior that he was having at the moment just didn't seem right.
And so you were concerned that he was taking the children out of the home, and he said he was going to take them to the movies.
That's what he stated at first. And then he said, I'm taking them out of this toxic environment. So at that point is when I called the police, because I wasn't sure what a toxic environment mean, because there was nothing happening in the home.
All right. So
How do you not know what that means?
But when he said that, she basically was like, oh, I think he's going to actually take the kids and run. away.
Again, you got to remember she had seen this thing, whatever it was, if it was really a thing for divorce or whatever it was, and told the kids, hey, I'm sure she was like, children, your kind, beautiful, loving father over there has decided he no longer wants to be with me. And well, we're going to part ways and it's going to be real easy. I'm sure she didn't act that way. I'm sure she started ranting and raving because everybody would. Who wouldn't?
Right?
It's natural.
Well, could it be that when you found out that he had filed for a divorce,
Mhm.
that you immediately started talking to the children about the divorce?
Nope. There we go.
Okay.
You testified earlier that you told the kids, oh, your dad has filed for divorce, and you
Okay,
started
this-
talking about that with the children.
Yeah, that's nothing new. They already knew we were filing for divorce. I just didn't know that I was
They-
I thought the paper that came in was something that was served to me. Didn't know it was an ad. And once I saw it was an ad, I showed that even to the police officer that it was an ad that came in that said he had filed. Because the conversation between your client and I was that I was going to be the one filing, and he went ahead and filed before me, which was fine. I wasn't upset about it. I talked to the kids and I sent them back to where they were, and they were fine.
Wasn't upset about it. It kind of sounds like you took that advertisement as wow.
Like an omen, like, hey, your father must already have an attorney because look, he's getting ads here to the house.
Oh, damn.
She knew this was coming, she claims, and she claims the children knew this was coming. But then it was all hell broke loose when an ad showed up at the house.
And she took that as something that she was basically
she
being
said
served. Like she was
It
being
was
served
she said, I
divorce.
thought I was being served by the ad, even though he told her, hey, that's just an ad.
Wow.
Ay.
Was going to be a conversation afterwards, but nothing happened other than what took place that day.
Why would you talk to the kids about the divorce?
We talked to the kid. I talked to my children about everything. I had nothing back from them.
Okay.
So that
Could
wasn't
it be that your husband identified that it was a toxic environment because he felt like divorce discussions should be between adults and not involving the kids?
Good point.
Okay, so again, I talked to my children about everything. They already knew what was happening. So this wasn't new to them. This
Okay,
wasn't
and
something
so-
shocking to them.
So
When they
real-
came into the kitchen and I speak to them about it, they weren't shocked, they weren't upset, they weren't losing it. The only time they were was when he went upstairs, got the gun and was coming downstairs. So everyone was like, okay, what is really happening? What was the purpose for the gun? So no.
and so your objection was that he was trying to take them out of the home.
With the gun, yes, and going to whatever toxic environment he was proclaiming that it was, there was nothing happening. And he
Okay.
was trying to take them out of the home, and I did not agree with that.
So
Because-
you're saying that the home was not a toxic environment.
At
And-
that moment, it wasn't
Objection
toxic.
to the extent it mischaracterizes the testimony.
Okay, please let her finish her answer and don't.
Yeah, one was like
Just
16.
ask
At that
question.
moment, it wasn't toxic.
Okay,
For
so
him to say that it was toxic with the children standing there, we're only 3 of us in the home. The conversation was already had in the kitchen. So him going upstairs to get the gun and come back didn't make any sense. It just didn't make sense in the moment.
okay. But he didn't wave it at you.
He didn't wave the gun at me.
He didn't say, I'm going to shoot you.
No. He came
He-
out of the room with it on his person, which is something he would do if something was happening in the home. That's something he would go and get the gun. Something's taking place outside the home. He believes something is happening. He normally would go and get it. At this moment, there was nothing happening in the home for him to go and get
That happened a lot at their house.
So,
he-
other than myself and the kids being there.
She made it sound
And
that way.
he
didn't she?
left the home
They live in Fallujah.
and went and got in his car
Mm-hmm.
and drove away. Is that right?
Went up the street. He stopped the police officers. That's what he went up there to do.
Right. And
And
so,
then came back when the police officers came. He came back with the police officers in the car.
okay. And so you felt secure when he came back with the police officers. Is that
I
right?
did not. No.
Okay. He didn't threaten you with the police officers, right?
He didn't come back fully in the home. He
Right,
stood
so
in,
he was-
so I'm not sure where he was at that point.
So I want to make sure I understand the chain of events. There was no argument. He got his gun, it was in a holster, and he left the home and drove up the street. Is that right?
Drove up the street
I
and
object to
started
that question to the, yeah,
Okay, well, what's the
compound and
objection?
confusing. She's gonna bring
Is that not? She's fired up, ready to go because she just thinks that you're getting a divorce and he wants to leave a potential situation. I don't think that's that bad.
And I don't think it's that weird. Like, she makes it sound like this guy's never. I mean, I don't know what the laws are in Georgia for, like, open carry or concealed carry or whatever. But for him to have his piece on him when he's leaving the house, I don't see that as too outlandish, especially around here in the South. I mean, a lot of people are
Yeah, that's not crazy.
open
at all.
carry.
And by the way, I commend him for trying to leave.
Yeah,
Before
leaving is a good idea. More people need
course.
to leave in these situations.
Yeah, and we're trying to make that out to be just such a terrible thing.
break it down one by one.
I'm sorry, I still don't understand the objection.
No, but the question she's lined up is not a set of questions that's compound and asking her a yes or no answer to it. She's gonna take one of those elements one by one. She can do that so she can, answer them directly.
I think she already had asked him pretty much individually at a time. Did he go get the gun? Did he leave the house? Did he go up the street? That sort of thing. And then now she was summarizing those same items. I'm gonna overrule the objection.
Okay.
And he came back to the house with the police. Is that correct?
Police came first and he came after.
And he stayed outside. Is that correct?
I don't know if he was outside. I don't know where he was.
Okay.
That right there, that is a very valid and very.
That's a good point too. You don't know if it's
Very
locked
good
up.
point.
She may have
Very good
access
point.
to it. Yeah.
She knows that it's there. She obviously got that advertisement in the mail and thought that
That's
file
all
for
it took.
divorce.
That's all it took for this to go haywire.
Yeah.
So it was already a hair triggered. Excuse the pun.
We might actually hear that from one of the lawyers, from her, anyways. Maybe you might have.
By the way, his lawyer is doing an amazing job right now.
Oh, she's good.
She's real
I
good.
like her. I think that we complimented her quite a bit last time when we saw Gramitzer. Good to see you.
He did not interact with you. Is that correct?
I did not see him.
He was not in
Okay.
the house. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Did he come back in the house?
I don't know if he came back in the house. The police
Would
officers.
you have seen him if he
were-
had?
I'm sorry.
Would you
Your
have
Honor?
seen him if he had come in the house?
Yes, I would have seen it. Well, no,
Okay.
because where he was, with the garage being where it is, and where I am at the front door, I wouldn't know if he come. But the car was there in the driveway.
Okay. All right. Sorry to
So,
interrupt.
sorry. So he parked the car in the driveway. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I see the car in the driveway. I don't know if he was still in the car, if he was in the home. I don't know where he was.
But you had no further interaction with him. Is that right?
At that point, no, I didn't have any interaction. I was interacting with the police officers at the time.
Okay. And the police officers didn't even file a report. Is that right?
You said I can't say what the police officer says. So
I'm saying, to your knowledge, do you have a police report?
I
from the
called and
police
asked for one. They said it's civil.
And that seems to be here in the South something that's not that out there at
Yeah.
all.
It's not nothing too wild.
Grammage, thank you, Fiverr. Mikey, I will BRB, and I'm actually caught up.
Oh, you're the man.
And since that time, he hasn't contacted you. Is that right?
No, I turned my phone off. I don't know if he did or didn't.
Okay.
I didn't
And
want
he
any
hasn't-
contact with him.
He hasn't threatened you. Is that right?
Didn't talk to him. I have no idea if he can. I don't talk to him.
Okay. Okay. And you're really upset that you wanted to file the divorce first and he went ahead
I
and
am
filed.
not. I am not upset that he filed before me. I'm not upset at all
Mm,
about any
I
of
don't know about that.
My
Why were
upset
you-
was having to what was the purpose of going to get the gun with us, myself and the children in the home? I felt complete fear. I'm still afraid because it didn't make sense for me why he had to go and get the gun and come downstairs when it's only the three of us in the home. If there was something happening outside, if there was something crazy happening, if we were arguing and it got out of control, I would have understood that. But there was no reason for it. So I was in fear of my life. I was.
Have you always objected to having a gun in the home?
I have.
Okay. But you didn't do anything about it until you filed this.
True.
Until it got to this point, if that's the question you're asking, yes. Until it got
Okay.
to this point, I talked to him about leaving it places in the home that it could be put in somewhere. He left it on the sofa. He put it in the room, hanging it on the dresser, and there are children in the home. I asked him several times, can you put it away? So other than that, no.
So what your
What was
objection
that?
is that he possessed a gun on this date.
Did y'all see that
He
too?
went and got the gun, yes, on that day.
Mm.
And there was
I think it's been
Okay.
asked and answered anyway, so.
Okay. All right. And do you have any further evidence that he did something erratic or acted erratic that day?
that day. I didn't see him after the situation. Of the only persons that saw him were the police officers because they were able to see him. I was not able to see him other than the fact that I was at the doorway. So whatever
Okay.
they saw, I was able to leave the home because of what they saw, not because of what I saw. They told me that I
Okay.
should leave the premises.
You've been told about the hearsay.
Okay.
Yes, so I'm
let's
done.
let's
I'm
move
done.
on. It's not a jury trial.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Nothing further for this witness, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Just a little bit of clarification. Ms. Patterson, let's take it from the moment where he came back and you were interacting with the police, right?
Mhm.
At that point, you didn't have any visual of him, did you?
No.
Okay, you didn't have any visual. But did that come a point where
That was confusing.
where you came to know that he was in the house?
There was a point when the police officers, and I don't know if this is.
I'm going to
I don't
object to any
Yeah, but did you
hearsay.
come to know at some point that you,
Hold on. I
okay,
know it's a lot easier when we're in court. But it's, there's a delay or something in the, in the Zoom hearing. He has not asked a question, Ms. Cordell, that required an answer that would involve hearsay yet. You objected before he finished his question.
Maybe.
So I did not hear anything. I'll ask to
Okay.
repeat the question, and if it does involve hearsay,
Another
then
advertisement. Great.
don't answer it yet, Ms. Patterson. If it involves
Okay.
what someone else told you,
Okay.
because there will be an objection, I'm sure. So
okay.
please ask the question again, and let's see where it goes first before we have an objection.
Yeah. So at that point in time, did there come a point later where you came to know that he was in the house?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see him walking through the door?
No.
Okay. Is there any way he could have walked in other than the door?
There's two entrances to the home. Yes.
Okay. Which one is the second one?
The second one, there's one to the garage that he could come in where the car was. And then there's the front door. There's also downstairs in the basement, but at the time we're talking about, the front of the home is where everything was taking place.
Okay. So you did not see him, but you came to know that he was in the house. All right.
Yes.
Before that interaction with the police, were you the one preparing to leave the house?
Yes.
Okay.
Shame.
I was packed since October.
Shame.
When he threatened, I was already packed. All my bags, everything is packed in the home.
Okay. So, so you were prepared to leave anyway.
I was the one preparing to leave the home, not
So
him.
the
So
So the
everything-
fact that the fact that you became aware that a divorce was filed did not necessarily trigger you to
No.
want to leave right away.
All right, please don't
No.
lead your witness.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the fact that I was already packed, I didn't feel
Yeah.
that he should have felt threatened about anything that was happening because I was the one packing to leave. He
Okay.
wasn't the one packing to leave the home.
Okay.
So everything of mine, personal clothes, my shoes, everything is packed in boxes and bags all over the house.
And when you left, did you pack everything you had from the home?
No,
Okay. Did you take it at a subsequent time?
I went back on the Thursday to get the children wanted to get some things, so I went with a police officer.
You know, she did mention that in the beginning, by the way. Packing. Carol Lyons, thank you. 2 bounds.
2 biggins. There was some timeline weird stuff that went on from where we discussed this incident and the separate incident of him asking for the sex, which made it sound like in the middle of all of this, he pulled her to the side and said, "How about some sex?" Those are 2 separate incidents. This one being the most recent, but there had been an incident where he wanted to have an intimacy talk with her and said, "Hey, you either give me some of the sweet, sweet lovin's or I'm burning this house down."
Carol, you're not the only one in the chat that thinks that.
Officer, which was what was told to me, not to go back in the home by myself. So I went in the home with a police officer to get a few things for the children, but I still have a lot of my things are still there.
Yeah, that's it. That's the end of the video, actually.
And he recrossed.
You said that you packed your things or you were ready to leave in October of 2022.
I was packed when he made the threat to me in October 2022. I let him know that the relationship will never be repaired after what he said. And so I packed everything that I could pack, and there were clothes. There's still a lot of things to be packed. But yes, I had my stuff packed.
And you've moved in with your mother, is that correct?
After the incident on the 3rd, that's when I moved in.
With your mother?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I will object to that to the extent that even though you made the objection
Well, she's already answered the question.
Okay.
I'm a bad lawyer.
Just move on.
And so if you wanted to leave,
He did that same laugh. He did the same laugh when he got called out for the second time for leading, by the way. Did you notice that?
Yeah, that's me, a liar.
Yeah.
thing is, it says
It did that
petitioner
thing, Creed. It just did that
respondent
thing when you paused.
made
It.
a threat to
There's the now you got to jump to that spot right there,
Where were we?
right there.
her on October 31st
38.
of 2022 and stated, "If you don't give me what I'm asking for, I'll burn down the house."
That's the recap part right here. This is
It went. We're on 3856 though. It says.
yeah. Go out and go back in. It's all right.
I got
It's
it.
all right. Nobody's blaming you.
What were you doing with your gun?
It was a potential threat to everyone in the house, and I wanted to remove it from the premise so there would not be any potential incidents. She knew where it was, and I didn't want it used against me.
Okay.
I mean,
And had you actually
Cut and dry.
called me when this incident was occurring?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you just safely take the gun out of the home and put it in your car?
Yes.
Did you say anything threatening to anybody?
No.
Okay. Did you
hi, Kathy Doyle. Welcome. We love our lurkers.
Love you, Kathy.
And KH.
Kate, oh, well, I love you. As well.
did you try to look scary towards anybody?
Look
No.
scary. I don't think a guy could look scary.
Did you,
No, and I like how she got in that part. Did you call me during this incident? Like right as I like that. Because that also
One of your freaking ads came to my house and she's losing it.
but that also goes along with him looking into the future and thinking that possibly something could go down. That goes along with him wanting to leave before there's an incident and before and thinking about grabbing the pew and just getting it out of the house and calling your lawyer. It looks good for him.
And she abandoned the house, by the way, which is kind of I'm surprised.
Yeah.
did you point the gun at anybody?
I did not unholster the gun.
Okay. And then did you drive away from the home?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you stop and wait for the police?
Yes, I was a mile or more away from the house when you advised me to go back and wait for the police, which I did.
I mean,
Okay.
objection.
Okay, let's don't get into the hearsay. Your attorney can't testify here today.
Sure. Sure.
Okay.
I drove
And,
to the
And
house.
I'm gonna ask you to stop leading the witness as well.
Thank you, Shelley.
all right.
You
And,
can ask him what happened next, not did you do X, Y, and Z.
Okay. And what did happen after that?
I drove away from the house and then I returned to a cul-de-sac, half a block away from the house, waited for the police. I flagged them down. I showed them where the gun was and that it had been in the home and that I had no intention of using it in any way to hurt anyone. And I wanted them to feel safe and know that the gun was secured and not a threat to them.
Okay. And did you enter the house at any time after that?
So when the police went to the house, I followed them. I parked in front of the house on the street, waited for them to conduct their interactions with the people who were in the house. The police came back and interacted with me briefly, at which point I pulled into the driveway and then re-entered the house through the garage door into the family room area, and did not leave that area until all of the parties had left the house.
Okay. And did you have any further interaction with Miss Patterson?
I did not.
Okay. Did you ever threaten to burn your house down in October of 2022?
No,
Did you threaten to burn your house down on any other date?
no,
Have you ever prevented Miss Patterson from leaving?
no.
Okay. And why did you want to take your children to the movies on that date?
Mrs. Patterson's 911 call began before I went to get the gun. And it concerned me enough that I wanted the children somewhere else, particularly after she was discussing the letter advertisement for an attorney wanting to represent her in the divorce case. Again, I feel that adult matters belong with adults and not in children's hands until
I
such
agree.
time as there are resolutions and things can be presented in a way which would not vilify either one of us.
Okay.
100%.
Are you trying to, or scratch that? How do you want to proceed with your children?
I would like to visit my children without restriction, in a reasonable fashion that can be agreed upon with all parties, such that they can spend time with me safely, spend time with their mother safely, and that we can get on with, me loving my children and rearing them in a safe and non-toxic way.
Okay. Do you
Rearing is such a weird term when you're talking about children, doesn't it?
Rear
It
these
sounds like
kids,
you're-
Green.
yeah, so it sounds like you're talking about cows, no?
intend to be threatening towards your wife or children in any manner?
No, I do not.
Okay. Do you have any anger issues?
Yes.
None at this point. Filing for the divorce was a great relief for me, and for the first time in many years, I am experiencing peace.
The happiest he's ever
All right.
been, Daddy.
I have nothing further.
Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
Boy, aimed
Uh,
straight to the point, huh?
I like it.
Let's start with the anger issue. You said not at this point. At what point did you have anger issues?
It doesn't fall in the purview of this case.
Sir,
Still, you should answer your question. At what
hold
point did you
on.
have?
Yeah,
Uh,
your attorney asked if you have any anger issues without defining the period in which those issues might have occurred. So he's allowed a thorough and sifting cross-examination. So I will allow the question under these circumstances.
Again?
Okay.
My God.
so at what point did you have anger issues?
It goes back to 2016 when I was having difficulties at work.
Okay. And when did they stop? The anger issues.
When did it what?
When did the anger issues stop manifesting themselves?
June 28th when I filed for divorce.
Okay. So is it fair to say that so does the filing of the divorce, other than the filing of the divorce, what steps, if any, did you take to address those anger issues?
I took steps from October 31st to not engage in serious conversations with Marietta Patterson.
Okay. October 12th, I understand there was an issue around that time.
October 12th, I'm not aware of that. I'm aware of issues from October 31st.
Yes. What's your take on those issues from October 31st?
There was a question of intimacy. The question that was posed to me directly by Mrs. Patterson was, why do you masturbate when you have me?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than looking at her face to see the malintent before I answer the question, I began to answer from my heart to try to explain to her what I was feeling internally. When I got to a certain point in the explanation, which was not complete, she proceeded to take that as a threat. And when I looked at her face, I saw the malintent on her face. At that point, we had not been intimate.
I didn't see that coming.
I did not see that coming. So there has been a huge issue in the loving department. And I don't know if she just doesn't, he's not doing it for her anymore, or she's just not interested in him and she's trying to move on down the line. But I mean, if he's doing that and you don't like it, I know there are people who don't. They're like, oh, that's like cheating on your spouse. No, it's not. It's like taking care of their, when you have a job and you just can't get it all done in one day. Sometimes you got to ask a friend for help. That's basically what he's been doing. He's been asking a friend for some help. Like, hey, she's not carrying the load anymore. I need a hand. I'm going to need a hand over here.
Damn.
I can't believe we brought that up.
Shelly, thank you.
Since January of 2022. And our marriage counseling had failed shortly after that as well.
Well, they tried it. They tried.
And based on your earlier testimony, is it fair to assume, because you hadn't already filed for divorce at that point in time, so is it fair to assume that you still had anger issues?
My anger issues had to deal with the fact that I had to leave a job that I loved very much and had nothing to do with Marietta Patterson.
And did you, at some point around that time, October 31st, tell her that if you didn't get what you wanted, you would burn down the house?
No, that is not an accurate representation. That is what he has taken to justify all of these actions.
I do want to point that out, since Victoria did bring that up. That was not good timing on his part when you're talking about her asking you about masturbating, and then you're like, well, I saw it on her face.
It's on her face. Well, all right. So I have a feeling, I'm not going to say he did say exactly those words, but maybe, just maybe, he made one of those open-ended statements like, if I don't start getting some sex around here, I'm just going to burn this whole house down. I am just that angry about not getting sex.
Right.
And I think, I could be wrong, maybe that's where we're getting ready to go to, where he breaks it down just a little bit more. The hard socks are everywhere in this house. He's going to break it down just a little bit more, and we're going to maybe hear that he did say something kind of like that.
But he has doubled down on saying that he did not say anything about burning the house down, though.
Yeah.
Is the accurate? What representation did you make to her about burning down the house?
No, there's no accurate representation about me burning down the house. The only representation is that I feel that because there's no intimacy and I have to masturbate, this relieves pressures that feel like they're boiling up inside of me and coming out. There is no threat in what I feel internally and try to express into words to another party so they can understand what I am feeling. I was trying to be vulnerable with Mrs. Patterson because when she asked the question, my hope was that she wanted to get on a path of reconciliation and not turn it around and use it against me.
Let me interrupt, if I could, please. When did the marriage counseling end?
The marriage counseling, Judge, the marriage counseling began around August, September of 2021, and went through the end of January, beginning of February 2022. Okay,
thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. No problem. Interrupt any time of yours. Yeah. So just so to get to the bottom of that October 31st incident, right? That was in 2022. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so that was after the marriage counseling had already ended for almost about a year.
Yeah.
All right.
No, it was 9 months at most.
Okay, yeah, almost about right. So what triggered that incident was some anger that you had displayed towards Leah, isn't that correct?
Leah's a teenager and was probably being frustrating. I do not recall the issues because they were insignificant and typically what a teenager would go through. And I, as a parent, was attempting to apply correction to her behavior. Nothing out of the ordinary from my perspective.
And how did you do that? How did you try to?
I no longer recall. It was so insignificant that I forget it. Besides, what occurred later in my interaction with Mrs. Patterson overrode anything else that may have happened.
Bob
You're my
Dodds,
prayer.
thank you.
You're my prayers, Bob. You're my prayers.
So he said that it was so insignificant that it wasn't even in his mind, is what he just said.
This marriage was doomed for a while, I think.
It was. I like whoever brought that up in the chat, by the way, too, is that, if you're thinking about getting a divorce and you hold out long enough thinking that maybe he'll go cheat and that's a really easy way out, that's an interesting take on things as well, which I'm sure happens from time to time.
How is that? What is it that occurred that overrode that?
When she asked me, why do you masturbate when you have me?
Okay. And
What was your
so
answer?
when you say it's
Excuse me for
insignificant,
interrupting
that's
again. Excuse me for interrupting again. I'm
Sure.
trying to get the chronology of events here. When did that incident occur?
Which incident is that?
That she said you have me.
That's all October 31st.
Okay.
Halloween.
that was on October 31st, right?
How to ruin a
Okay.
holiday.
And
Damn.
so after that, October 31st, on July 3rd, right? You had called 911, isn't that correct?
I did not call 911.
Well, Jack's mom.
Well, I mean, the name says it all.
Okay, so you did not call 911.
I did not call 911. I called my lawyer.
Okay. And so do you know whether or not your wife called 911?
The police came to the house, so obviously police or 911 were dialed, and it was not by my hand.
And you do have a license for your gun, don't you?
It's no longer required in the state of Georgia.
Okay, so you have a gun. Is it known to your family that you have a gun?
It has been since it was purchased in 2008.
Okay. And there was some testimony earlier that your purpose was to kind of put the gun away for safety.
Yes,
Okay. Do you have a lock for the gun?
I do have gun locks, yes.
At that time, was the gun locked?
No, the gun was not locked because there
Right.
were other incidents outside the purview of this case that were happening in the neighborhood, particularly across the street, for which I have informed the DeKalb County Police.
There you go.
tip line.
Okay. Now, I guess I'm at a loss. If your purpose was to put the gun safely away before the police arrived, why couldn't you just have put it in the safe and lock it?
The lock I have is one that goes onto the gun itself and does not fit on the gun while it's in its holster.
Okay. So when you came down with the gun, did you try in any way to keep it from the children?
I don't understand.
Why was the gun displayed in such a way that they could all see it?
Yes, when you have a weapon, everybody should see it's there. And particularly my personal opinion, never conceal a weapon from the family.
Thank you,
Okay.
Bob.
Well, I don't have a weapon, so I don't know.
Oh.
But so it was visible.
That's kind of a dick thing to say. No,
Again, that is this guy's got to defend everything he does.
I feel bad about that,
She thinks
by
it's
the way.
okay to tell the kids every intimate situation. I mean, I'm sure she told the kids all about dad's masturbation.
dad's
problem.
jacking off again.
Your dad's probably in the bathroom working it again. I can't even take a shit. So for him to be like, yes, I told everybody, look, there's a gun in the house, and it don't seem like they've got small children. They have older children. he's having to defend everything. But again, maybe he is a bit of a pushy dude. Maybe he was pushy to the point. I mean, they went to, marriage counseling. They've done everything. It's just, it was at the pinnacle. It was going to burst at any time. And, he had, like he said, he didn't want it by his hand.
That's the
It
bottom
was
line.
visible. It was
It was
whole
visible.
the scrap blocking it into the holes.
And it's true that you were actually looking around to see if there was a danger in the household.
No, that is not true. There
What
was,
was
no
the-
danger. There was no danger in the household except the gun itself being in the house, which needed to be removed to prevent it from being used against me.
And did you look around the rooms around the house to try to see if there was anything?
No. I came down the stairs, went to the garage, went out the garage, got into the car, which was parked in the driveway, closed the garage, and then backed out, left, drove up the street, then came back and waited for the police.
Okay.
I did not go room to room. I did not look for anyone or anything.
Okay. And is it true that you also said she's trying to put me out of the house?
Absolutely not.
Were you on the phone with someone during that interaction?
I was probably speaking with my attorney.
Okay. Anyone else?
Though my recollection is that I dialed my attorney after I'd already left the subdivision in the car.
Okay. All right. So you went out with a gun, right? And you left the gun in the back of your car, right?
No, the gun was on the passenger seat in the car. So when
Okay.
I interacted with the police, they could clearly see that it was there and secure.
It was there.
A threat to them.
All right. So even though you hadn't called 911, you saw the police come and you accosted them. You waved them down. You flagged them down.
I object to the word accost, Your Honor.
No, the objections are for
We're
your
talking
attorney.
about police. here.
Sir, you can answer the question, or your attorney can object, but you don't get to object.
All right.
Ah,
I did not accost the police, sir.
Did you flag them down?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what conversation you had with them?
I told them I filed for divorce. My wife became irate. I removed the gun from the house. I pointed to it on the passenger seat. I said, you can see it right there. I am not a threat to you. I'm not going to use this gun against you, but I did remove it from the house so it would not be a threat to anyone in the house or to you, the police.
Okay. And that's fair enough. And did you then at some point come back towards the house?
After the police had already proceeded around the corner towards the house, I drove my vehicle and parked on the street in front of the house so it could be clearly seen that I was in the vehicle, which is clearly visible from the front door to see that the vehicle was there and that I was potentially, possibly, the tinting on the window may not prevent it.
And while the police was there, was there an officer in front of the house? Did you see an officer in front of the house?
Yes, there were two officers actually.
Okay. Okay. And then were they observing you?
They were not observing me. They went to interact with the people in the house.
Both of them or
Yes.
just one of them?
Both of them.
Okay, both of them. Was there a point when you actually entered the house?
Yes, after the police initially talked to the people in the house, they came back and talked to me. They also provided me with a piece of paper which included information on how to file a temporary protective order.
does he have braces?
Okay.
Maybe that's
At that point in time, did they tell you you
Oh,
had to leave the house?
I didn't see.
No, they did not.
So nobody put you out of your house?
No,
Okay.
and I never did such a claim.
And while the police were still there, did you at any point enter the house?
Yes, I did. I went and returned to the family.
And where was the gun at that time?
The gun was in the car.
The gun was still in the car.
Yes,
Okay. And how did you enter the house?
I entered through the garage, opened the
Through the garage.
external garage door, and then went in through the door into the house.
2 wonderful years. Mayor and Loud both though. 24 months. My
Main
God.
channel OGs, baby.
Look at you guys.
And at what point after you entered did your wife see you?
As far as I know, she never saw me again.
She never saw you. But could one of the officers have seen you?
No,
Are you sure that they could not have seen you, or you don't know that they saw
I
you?
closed the garage door. There's no
After
window.
you entered,
But
did
yes,
anyone see you enter?
I don't know what the officers were looking at. My wife.
Okay. But from where at least one of the officers was standing, could he or she have seen you entering the garage door?
They could have seen me enter the garage door.
Okay. And then from the garage, you entered into the main living area?
The family room, which is attached to the garage, and I stayed in that area until all parties.
And don't forget
Another
about
one.
Racer.
Another one.
So this attorney, we're kind of saying the same things again and again here. I mean, he talked about his grand entrance into the house. This is now the second
Over
time.
and over and over. What does it matter?
mean,
She never seen him again. They
I
never
know.
interacted anymore.
Right.
I don't really get the point of this.
Yeah, I don't know where we're going with that. And it's the same thing with the pew pew and where it was set. We've been through this already. So
Maybe the attorney's just trying to prove that he earned his money. I don't know.
I hope that he has a reason, though. I would imagine. Oh, woo.
Oh, woo, woo.
That woo, woo. It's that woo, woo.
Did your wife see you at that point in time?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. What was your expectation when you entered? Was that as far as who was going to leave the house?
I had no expectations.
You know, well, you weren't going to leave the house, were you?
I was not planning on leaving the house now.
Okay. So you knew that your wife was going to leave the house.
No, I did not know that.
Okay.
He has some
How about the children? Was there a point where any of the children said they were not going to leave the
I'm
house
going
with
to
you?
object to any hearsay.
Hearsay. Sustain.
What?
You asked what the children
What?
said
No. What?
here.
What?
Well, I didn't quite phrase it that way, but that was the goal. Yeah, but
That was what I heard, but
That's exactly what he
yeah.
said,
rephrase your
Judge.
question.
yeah. Was there
Can be.
a time where any of the children declined to go with you?
He didn't go anywhere.
No, I declined to force the issue.
Okay.
It
So-
would have escalated the situation unnecessarily.
Okay. But the fact is, none of them went with you, anywhere with you.
That is correct.
Okay. And they went with your wife when she left the home.
I believe so. I did not see them leave.
Okay. Okay. And you didn't have any objection to that?
In in order to maintain peace and civility, I did not object to that. No.
Okay. All right. So, but the fact is, when you went back into the home through the garage, you could have had your gun on you. Nobody saw you.
I'm going to object
If a
to
tree falls in the woods
speculation.
and no one's there to see it, does this make it sound?
As far as maybe you need to rephrase that. I mean, he's already testified that nobody saw him come in the door. You
Yeah.
can extrapolate from that what you wish and save that.
So
for
the question is, nobody but you knew that when you entered through the garage, you didn't have your gun with you.
I'm going to object again to speculation.
It's not speculation, it's knowledge, right?
He's already testified, as I understand, that he didn't see them. So if he didn't see them, I'm assuming they didn't see him.
Well,
Is he trying to establish that the kids were around with the pew pew? Is that what he's trying to say right
No,
now?
it's just he's very. This line of questioning is just I don't know.
And who's handsome? Yeah. And we've seen that before, and that is definitely a tactic. However, if he is doing that right now,
He's trying to trip him up. Yeah, is what who Handsome said.
yeah, and it makes sense because we've certainly seen that. But I don't
It's
know.
like again, he said, "Were you in the house with the pew pew?"
Even if
and
he
he
did
says-
have him up a little bit, it's not like a slam dunk. It's not really gonna
Show
Okay.
anything. It's not proving anything. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure neither one of these people are a barrel of fun to hang out with.
no. Sure.
It seems like it's a case of were you scared? Maybe. Did he make you scared? I don't know. But he's on an expedition for sure, David. Yeah, he's trying.
Yeah. And now I think he's trying to make it sound like the kids saw the pew pew and maybe were scared as
Mhm.
well. I think that's where he's going there.
I mean,
You know, when he came back in,
I mean,
you can argue that in closing, sir, as far as whether you believe he did or didn't have the gun on him when he came back in. But as far as
Blinky.
him knowing what other people saw or thought, that's
Okay.
out of his purview. So I'll sustain the objection to that extent.
okay. All right. So, before you handed over I understand you handed over the gun to law enforcement, right?
Yes.
So, I understand you testified earlier that the reason why you had a gun was to put it in a safe place, right? And the last time at least based on your testimony, the last time you entered into the garage, the gun was still in your car.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That is
On the
correct.
passenger seat,
Yes.
and then when you entered the house. So you'll have to agree that at a safer place you could have left the gun.
No, I'm the only one that had the key to the car, and there's only one key to the car.
Okay.
So it would require some considerable force to get at the gun. So once all parties had left the house except for myself, then I retrieved the gun from the car.
Okay. And was it still on the passenger seat?
Of course.
Okay. Will it have been visible to anyone walking by?
If they went up close to the car and looked down into it.
All right. No further questions, man.
All right. Redirect.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you,
So that
Mayor.
concludes all testimony.
Oh, Angel feels like she's
No
got
one
it.
had any
She didn't
exhibits
have
to
any
present, as I
redirect.
understand, correct?
That's correct. Your Honor.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Do you wish to open, Mr. Owu?
Yes, Your Honor.
Owu? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, wow. What we believe the evidence has shown is that the respondent clearly has anger issue. And based on his own testimony, that anger issue did not abate until he filed the divorce, which is recently in June of, I believe it's June 26 of 2023. So until then, it's credible that his anger issues might have manifested itself on a number of occasions, including at the very least on October 31st, 2022, when following an argument where he displayed a lot of anger towards his daughter, subsequent conversation about intimacy led to a threat of burning down the house, and with a confirmation down the road of, "Oh, you're not gonna know when I did it." I understand that the respondent denies that happened, but that's really consistent with the anger that escalates and sometimes into irrational behavior. And on January 3rd, even though there were a number of options to really put the gun away in a safe place, if that was really his concern, including locking up the gun in a safe, he decided to display as he was walking down the stairs, and obviously creating.
Wait, did you hear that?
Yeah. Okay. With him,
Play it.
what do you prefer them to wrap it up in a blanket and tote it down the stairs? I mean,
And that's what the questioning was just a few minutes ago, that he didn't get anywhere with part of it, and he's going for it anyways.
yeah, that he if he was so worried about, that he was concealing this gun from it being used against him, why did he leave it on open display in his car as well on the seat? I see where he's
Right.
going with this now. But he's saying, yeah, again, yeah, of course, hindsight is 2020. And if he has anger issues, here's the thing, man.
It started it was in the house, and he removed it.
It took it to the car and left it
Right.
on the passenger seat so that would be, it wasn't concealed. He also didn't know she was calling the police. So
Yeah, true.
I mean, if he does have these anger issues, I'm sure. Yeah, and I'm sure it seems like there's a lot of tension in this house on both sides.
Oh, definitely.
Everybody's mad about
Definitely.
something.
I don't like how Mr. Just got that in there. He's just crowbarring that in.
There's no other way to describe it. A state of panic with his wife and children. There is testimony, at least on our part, to the fact that he indicated that his wife was trying to put him out of the home, and he acted like he was looking around the house, trying to find a threat that was not there. Clearly, at least from our perspective, the point of all of that was to intimidate the petitioner and the respondent. There is the testimony that he did not call me.
Sorry. So he's walking around the house looking for an argument, basically, or looking for something. Is that what we're saying now?
But
we're
again,
just throwing shit at a wall and hoping it sticks at this point.
Didn't this all start from her finding a ad that came in the mail for an attorney, which we learned wasn't even from her office. It was, and it was addressed to the wife.
Right.
We found out it was addressed to her. Not even him.
Oof.
Who's got the anger issues?
This is
Again, I think they both do.
I hope Angel shuts every bit of word of
Should
this.
be interesting to see what she comes up with.
Very much so.
911. The respondent called 911, yet he got ahead of that, went towards them, flagged them down, had some conversation that we don't know the content of it, and ultimately they came back to their house. And they came back to their house, and there is testimony to the fact that at least he entered the house, and the respondent probably did not see him at some point when he entered the house. The respondent did not know whether he had a gun on him or not, or where the gun was, but immediately after that, and after some conversation with the officers, she left the household, even though she had the option to stay and have him go out. She left the house immediately with her children. If that's not reasonable fare, then, show me what it is. So it's our contention that, there's been acts of violence, there's been threats of violence, and with the gun and the environment, the atmosphere that was created with the display of the gun, that's what triggered the TPO, and that's why we're here today.
No,
regardless of that, our
this
focus
TPO.
really ultimately is to resolve this issue. He is their parent, and we're not going to act as if he doesn't have any right because we believe he does. But all we are asking ultimately is that, he can, if the court so decides, have daily visitations electronically with his children. Nobody is trying to interfere with that. But until at the very least, we have some third party who is knowledgeable about those issues, talk to the children, and ultimately make some kind of recommendation. We believe that there should not be unsupervised visitations where they are physically present with him, given his anger issues, and the potential that it will retaliate against them one way or the other for living with them. So there's always that, and we can't take that threat and that possibility lightly. I think it's not unreasonable to wait at least until there is some level of intervention to allow those.
One life to live. Thank you for the late fee. Appreciate that. Man,
Glad you're here.
He is reaching.
Look, I've sat here and listened to him, and I was like, okay, maybe at some stretch of imagination, this could sound reasonable, that she was so scared of him that she had to abandon ship. It was like, I gotta go. This is I don't even know where he's hanging around the house like he's Michael Myers or something. He's gonna pop out any minute,
walking around looking to try to get in a fight. She brought all of this up, as many of you have said in the chat, and reminded ourselves of it, that this started with her. this entire thing. But yet, he is spinning some weird stuff there.
In-person visitation to take place.
I just fingers crossed the Angel's going to deliver on this because she has a chance at a slam dunk against this dude with what he's been saying. From what I've heard, anyways. From what I've heard.
So for those reasons, we ask that the court allow the expired order to stay in place, except perhaps as to the visitations where he can talk and have interaction with his kids, and then leave it for the parties to resolve as part of the divorce proceedings.
Real quick.
That's it,
Real
Chair.
quick.
Okay.
Did we miss the fact that no one has asked, when did she take the TPO out? When did she go do that? Was it she left the house and immediately went and did that? Did a couple of days go by, then she went and did it?
Yeah.
At what point did she do that? Because again, I thought about the custody and maybe she don't want him to see the kids and this, that, and the other. And this was a good way to keep him from seeing the kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a power play either way. It's a divorce. Both want the power. Both want to be in charge. She is the fallen angel, Christopher Daniels. But
yeah, Judge would know. We haven't heard.
Yeah.
I bet you it was rather quick, probably within a few days, I would think. But who knows?
look at him smiling.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a good point. That's kind of a interesting stop right there. Enjoy it, Jim. Just watch it. Don't make it raw like Knox has those issues sometimes.
Oh God, Chief.
Thank you, Ms. Cordell.
Your Honor, a TPO is not appropriate in this case. This is a really slippery slope where Ms. Patterson has described that there was no argument, no fight, that there was no threats against her, that there was no waving of a gun, merely that he possesses a gun, and that Mr. Patterson took the gun out of the home and left. That is really what we would want anybody to do in any potential situation. I mean, he left, he waited for the police, he talked to the police, he notified the police that he had a gun in the car. This is the opposite of domestic violence. This is acting in a peaceable, responsible, safe manner. He said, I will take the kids to the movies. That's why she called the police. And if saying I'm going to take the kids to the movies is grounds for a TPO, then all of us will have TPOs. But he said that she didn't want the kids to go to the movies because she wanted to talk to the kids about the divorce, because she always talks to the kids and that's just normal in her mind. And she can't imagine how that could be damaging or toxic in any way. But he didn't take them. He just left. And when we start trying to say that when people just leave prior to an argument, that's domestic violence, then we're really, really messing up. And you know, the digging and the fishing in this case to try to say, oh, Mr. Patterson, you had anger issues because you said you were stressed at work and you masturbated for that reason. This is not grounds for a TPO. This is, you know, somebody that is law-abiding, compliant, peaceable, and what we've heard here today is somebody that is not a threat, not out of control. Ms. Patterson clearly has an issue that she wanted to file the divorce, and she's just so upset that Mr. Patterson filed it first. She wants an advantage in that divorce, and she can't even accept an advantage. She wants no contact or no physical contact with the kids, and there was no basis for that whatsoever. We've got a good dad with a great relationship with his kids, and Ms. Patterson has done exactly what you're not supposed to do in a divorce, which is talk to the kids about it and change their schools and hide them out for no apparent reason. But my client is the kind of person that just wants to get along, which is why when he said, I want to take the kids to the movies, she has an objection. He just leaves. When the children are going to leave with mom, he doesn't make an issue about it because he's a responsible person that realizes that kids are not supposed to be put in the middle and they're not supposed to be used as weapons in divorce. And he's aware of what parental alienation looks like. And he believes that the adults handle their issues and that they make the children feel safe and secure, and they don't try to get the kids to choose between their parents. And so he hasn't done anything here which would warrant a TPO. The TPO was baseless. The police came out, they made no arrest, they made no report, even because it was such a nothing issue. And because it was such a nothing issue, Ms. Patterson has tried to turn it into more and has asked for a 12-month TPO simply because she's mad that he filed for divorce. We're going to have a divorce, and my client is trying to get away from Ms. Patterson. That's why he filed a divorce. That's why he didn't insist on taking the kids and running off with them and changing their schools. He didn't do any of that because he's not the perpetrator. And a TPO would be completely inappropriate here. Thank you, Your Honor.
She took the high
All right,
road.
any rebuttal?
She took the high road. I think that was very good, but she took the high road. She could have went after him and picked that apart. But you know what? I think that she's smart enough and knows you don't need to.
She kept it very simple, very basic. Not a lot that the judge is going to have to process. This is cut and dry. And that's the way she needs to present it. Like, hey, this is cut and dry. This is simple. This is by the numbers.
Yeah.
But he's got something else to say, I think.
Of course he does.
At all?
I think it's all been said. Body's in
No,
your at this point.
All right. I just had to offer you the opportunity because that's what the law allows. You get to open and close. All right. Thank you, everyone. We've gone through a lot of issues here between the parties.
Now's the chance if you want to go ahead and kind of vote. Where you guys think what's happening here? We've heard it all from both sides. I don't know.
I don't know either. I hate to say one way or the other.
I don't see a lot of evidence. His story makes sense. I don't know. Because, we're mouth chauvinist pigs, I heard.
Yes. We hate the Mormons.
I'll put it in the chat. Let's see what you
I love the ladies.
Most of which can be addressed in your divorce action. Can't fix everything. The divorce doesn't fix everything. You two are married currently. You are always going to be the parents of these children forever, not just till the 16-year-old turns 18 or the 11-year-old turns 18. You are parents forever. And hopefully one day down the road, y'all might be able to be in the same room with your children at the same time. It could be graduation. It could be weddings. It could be the birth of their child and y'all become grandparents, whatever. Hopefully this situation will be resolved in terms of you get your divorce, you get everything moving in separate tracks, but both of you keeping your children's best interest in mind. And that is to have two loving parents. I'm going to assume, despite the fact that I've heard about one argument with a 16-year-old child, that the children love their parents, both of them. And they should not be withheld or talked bad about the other parent in their presence, anything of that nature. Please. Now, the children know there's a divorce. That's fine. They obviously are anxious. They want to know that they're going to be taken care of. They want to know that everything's going to work out okay. And hopefully the two of you can do that in your divorce case to where the two of you can parent these children separately, but in some sort of coordinated fashion that works so you don't have your children playing one against the other. My dad lets me do this or my mom lets me do that. That's the tail wagging the dog, so to speak, and you can't let that happen. Y'all are the adults, you're the parents, you both want your children to grow up, be successful, you know, and have, you know, quiet, peaceful lives themselves. And only the two of you can make that happen. It's unfortunate that they probably know too much at this point, but you can both of you can reassure them that they will be taken care of, that they're going to have both of you in their lives. They need to be that way. And I haven't heard any objection to that. I know you may end up with a guardian ad litem involved in the case, and they're going to thoroughly investigate you both from inside and out. I mean, you don't know what all's coming with that, but their job is to look out for the children's best interest and to advocate for them and make recommendations to the court. And both of you need to be on your P's and Q's and present well for the best interest of your children. As far as the case here today, we've had a thorough bit of testimony by both parties. I don't find that there's sufficient reason to issue a 12-month order at this time. Both parties are under, in a DeKalb County divorce case, you are both under a mutual restraining order right now.
There it is.
For which you could be held in contempt if either one of you violate that order. So that means it's without a piece of paper from my court saying you need to stay away from each other. That would be what you both should be doing. You've got both of you've got good counsel. I assume both counsel are handling the divorce as well.
That's correct, Chairman.
And they have established a rapport today, thankfully, where they've met each other and attempted to work out a resolution. You're going to be going to mediation. You're going to be going to all kinds of things. 95% of all divorce cases settle at some point. They settle when you realize that neither one of you going to get everything you want. And, you know, it's never a perfect resolution. Nobody wins a divorce case. It's just a question of how much each of you lose. So it depends on how you define winning and losing. So I strongly urge you to do everything with your attorneys to get it resolved. And the quicker you get it resolved, the better off your children are going to be. And if they know that y'all work through your attorneys to work out something sensible for them, for the breakup of the marriage, all of that, once they know that, then they can start getting over being anxious about this. And you don't have to like each other ever again. But I hope that you will respect each other as parents of your children. This is all not in a court order. This is just from 40 years of doing this. That I strongly urge you both to use your attorneys, get it done, and never have another situation arise that could be construed as an act of violence. It's all a matter of perception. And I understand the perception that occurred, but I understand both sides of what you presented here. I'm not saying it one way or the other. It's a matter of opinion and perception, and I get that. So get the divorce done quickly and with your children in both of your minds is top priority, and take care of that. Everyone is excused. I'll enter my order. It'll be filed with the clerk's office, hopefully today, depending on when I finish my next few hearings. If not, it'll be filed by tomorrow. Yes, sir. If you need to ask questions, you might want to ask some of your attorney before you ask me. I'm sure she can answer them.
Thank you so much for your
If you don't
patience
understand
today.
what I'm doing, I'm entering a dismissal of the order today. If anything further happens, Ms. Patterson, you absolutely can refile. This does not bar you from refiling. I want you to understand that if something were to occur in the future. All right,
Wow.
whether it be here or wherever. All right, that concludes the case.
That's it.
Whole
Whole shebang.
Love to sit here and chat. You guys got it right in the chat, by the way. Overwhelming response to that. You're right. There's a live chase.
Yes, sir. Oh boy.
However, It just went into like a downtown area and seems to be rolling slow. So I don't know. We'll have to discuss it.
Either way, we're done with this one, putting a fork in it. Almost 2 hours we hung out and analyzed and broke down and thought about this case. And
Thank you to everybody down there. We got to run.
okay.
Thank you to all of you.
Shout outs.
Appreciate you.
Shout outs.
To
Baba
all of-
Booey.
all
All
of
right. Love
all
you
of
guys. Stay safe, stay hard, stay tuned because there's a chase coming.